We're going to call the meeting for the Economic Development, Tourism, and Event Management to order for Monday, June the 20th. I need someone to approve our agenda. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Councillor Deputy Mayor Cody. All those in favor of that? Okay. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Okay. I need someone to approve our minutes from May the 19th. Okay. Any business arising from those minutes? And we are going to move in. We have a guest speaker, Stephanie Turner, that will be doing a virtual presentation today on Event Atlantic. So welcome, Stephanie. I'm going to shut my mic off and you can move into your presentation. We can't hear you, Stephanie.
I'll try it again, Steph.
Hey, how's that? Good?
Yeah, cutting in and out though.
Perfect. I was on a roll there for a minute, so to circle back, just 1 minute. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
I'm going to actually have to put my speaker on mute because there's a bit of a backbeat. So hopefully if you guys have any questions, we'll just wait till the end because I just won't be able to know that you're chatting. So I want to, again, thank you very much for the opportunity to provide you with an update on Event Atlantic. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Stephanie Turner, and I'm the Executive Director with Event Atlantic. I've been with the organization since 2018. A little bit about Event Atlantic. We are a not-for-profit member-based organization dedicated to providing networking and professional development opportunities to the event sector in Atlantic Canada. Our goal through our initiatives and programs is to inspire and support the growth, development, and sustainability of event tourism throughout the region. The organization is run by a 12-person board, for which hold ex officio positions, which I'll speak to a bit later, as well as one staff member, which is myself. So Event Atlantic was founded in 2015, whenever Moncton was hosting the FIFA World Cup. It was founded by the 4 members that you see on your screen. So the City of Charlottetown, Events Nova Scotia, Step St. John's, and the City of Moncton. These founded partners were recently recognized on the board, on our board of directors. At a recent AGM, a bylaw amendment was passed, creating 4 ex officio seats on the board of directors, specifically for these 4 organizations. Currently, Wayne Long is a representative for this City of Charlottetown seat. So since 2015, there's been a lot of progress made. Originally the organization was being worked on with an active board that worked on the file off the side of their desk. They quickly realized that the organization, in order for the organization to grow past just hosting an annual event, they needed additional help. So that is when they decided that they needed to hire a staff person. So since then, we have successfully, you'll see on the screen, quite a few initiatives have been created since then. So immediately after they hired myself in 2018, we created a membership program, which now currently has 94 members. We've also, as part of the pandemic recovery, we partnered with Events Nova Scotia and held an Atlantic Huddle webinar series, which touched on anything from insurance to sponsorship. We also implemented an Excellence Awards program, which we felt during the pandemic was actually a perfect time to launch this, because even though we were in a pandemic and it was still quiet, there was still events going on that needed to be celebrated. So we decided that was the perfect time. So last year in 2021 was our inaugural Excellence Awards luncheon that was held at our summit in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We also, as an organization, determined that we needed a clear path forward. So with help from MRSD in Charlottetown and our funding partners, the 4 provinces, and COA, we were able to create a strategic plan that will take us through until 2024. Part of that strategic plan was to create a few new initiatives, which also included associated Boots on the Ground, which is an initiative that allows myself as staff to go to our members' events and help in any capacity, from delivering pizza to being a VIP host. So basically, it's creating providing support in tacit. You don't need to give a lot of direction for it, but you just need somebody there to kind of help out with all those things. So we've kind of created that program that we will be there for, to support our members in their events to make sure that they're successful. And we also created our Meeting of the Minds action committees, which will help foster the even further growth of the organization. So getting our members involved in providing feedback and education to our members, and determining what moving forward what supports we need to create for the membership moving forward, to ensure that Atlantic Canada is top of mind to anybody who wants to host an event in the region. So just on your screen now, it's just a little kind of snippet from our strategic plan and the mission and core values and that we created during our strategic plan. So with the increase of recognition of the opportunity for festival events to refuel tourism and economy after a global pandemic, the board and staff recognized the need and timeliness of developing a roadmap for the next 3 years. So the key objectives of this new plan were to bring value to the members in event hosting. So through the strategic plan process, it included receiving valuable feedback from industry stakeholders using a 360-degree engagement approach. So 43 organizations and individuals in Atlantic Canada in the events industry were interviewed to contribute to building the strategic plan for us in order to make sure that we are successful in the next 4 years. So what that kind of means and what we're doing. So we're, moving forward to educate and empower the people to be successful in the industry, facilitating connections that grow relationships and partnerships, and bring leadership to strengthen and showcase the success in our region. So we do want to, we had some core values that we wanted to keep top of mind while we're doing this. So community, diversity, excellence, credibility, sustainability, and most of all, even though it's kind of one of the top ones, most of all would be fun. We want to ensure that fun remains in our organization and in the sector and we're the events industry. So we always have to make sure that fun is top of mind, and we have to be mindful of that when we move forward with our priorities and the initiatives that we create through our strategic plan. So I just want to take you down the road with Charlottetown and the mark that Charlottetown has made on Event Atlantic. As I mentioned, Wayne Long currently he's the founding partner representative for City of Charlottetown. He was instrumental in creating the organization and as represented as past chair as well. And Laura Lee as well sat on our board for a time as a treasurer. And currently we have Charlotte Nicholson, who will be, currently she just began her term at our AGM most recently, and it is a 2-year term, so it will expire in 2024. In 2019, Charlotte also was awarded an Emerging Leader Award as part of the Atlantic Matter Summit that was held in Charlottetown. And in 2021, at our inaugural Excellence Awards, Wayne Long was awarded the Champion of the Year Award. Also at the award, I didn't notice here, but the soccer, which I should have written down, so I apologize, soccer that was held in 2019 in Charlottetown was also received an award, the Event of the Year Award of 2019. So our summit that I mentioned that began in 2015 has been hosted in Charlottetown for 2 years now, and it is set to return to Charlottetown in 2024. We also annually host a board and government partner summit because our board members are there's 2 board members now, 3 from every province. Once a year, we are committed to meeting in person with our government partners and strategic planning for the next year ahead. In the last 3 years, we've been very lucky to have Charlottetown as the backdrop for this meeting, which has been very beneficial for our team, and we very much enjoyed being in Charlottetown for those and experiencing all that Charlottetown has to offer. I just want to take you down. So these are the awards that were given out at our 2021 Excellence Awards. So as you'll note, the event of the year for a budget of over $500,000 was the Island Games for the Canadian Premier League. And then as well, Wayne Long received the Champion of the Year award. So as I mentioned, our summit that takes place annually, it rotates between all 4 provinces. So last year it was hosted in Nova Scotia and Halifax, and it was the highest level of attendance of any summit to date, which was incredible considering it was October of 2021, which we were kind of going into another little bit of COVID and everything was kind of shutting down. So to have our highest level there, everybody was very excited to be around to meet again, celebrate before, and celebrate the I just lost my words. I apologize. Celebrate everything that we've accomplished during the pandemic and ready to celebrate what we had ahead for us coming into 2022. So I do want to invite you all to join us in Miramichi. We'll be there this year, September 28th to 30th. And we have several topics to touch on while we're there. Some of them include creating sustainable events. We'll, of course, always have our always popular mayor's panel. We'll have a best practice in festival staging program, and we'll also have Fishing Canada there as our keynote for that summit. So I encourage you all to join us while we're there. It'll be a great time. There will be fishing included, and as well as musical entertainment from Miramichi. They didn't go quickly. If there's any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Stephanie? That was a great report. It's exciting to see all the good work done with the collaboration between the 4 provinces. Thank you very much. I don't see any questions, Stephanie, so maybe we could get your presentation sent to Wayne and he could send that on to us just so we have a copy of it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay. That's good information. Good job, you guys. You're all part of that and an integral role. We're going to move into the economic development report with Wayne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few highlights under the economic development portfolio. Recently, we had the opportunity to participate in a session with Invest in Canada. Focus was on Charlottetown. So Invest in Canada promotes Canada for investment. They want to ensure that destinations are investment ready, want to ensure that they're aware of the services and data that the destination has to offer. And of course, they interact with Global Affairs Canada via the Canada Export program. So we're very happy to have that session. I've been participating as a part of the parking strategy review. This has been ongoing for a couple of months now, being led by Public Works under the direction of Scott Adams, with a focus on a downtown strategy. Hopefully, completion of this particular exercise will come in the fall of this year. And the committee is comprised of Public Works, leadership, CADC, Downtown Charlottetown Inc., Charlottetown Police Services, and representatives from the business community. Recently, HMS Office Solutions, Hamster, had their grand opening here in Charlottetown. I know the mayor was able to participate. That was back on May 31st. So we welcome them to Charlottetown, operating in the former Starbucks building on Lower Queen Street. Happy to have them here in the capital city. I mentioned at the last committee meeting that YYG Charlottetown Airport was commencing a new strategy process. I had the opportunity recently to participate with the consultants on that particular project with respect to the city of Charlottetown and our interactions with the airport. Obviously, there's a number of them, not only leisure travelers and business travelers, but there's the whole export, et cetera. So we can watch for their strategy in the months and weeks ahead. Staff are just returning from the FCM Expo in Regina, and great turnout. First event following the so-called end of the pandemic. Fingers crossed. We're there with a specific focus on tourism and business interaction. So we heard from a couple of companies who are interested in exploring the destination further, whether it would be opening up shop here or interacting with others within the municipality. So we'll follow up on those particular leads. We're currently in the process of starting to look forward to fall discussions as a part of the newcomer orientations. We realize we're still early on in the summer here, but there's some work that has to go into those particular events, so they'll come later in the fall. We're currently starting to review the destination profile in terms of what we have to offer and the data that we have, so we can springboard that up to other organizations like Innovation PEI with respect to their efforts. And then finally, Atlantic Business Magazine will be hosting an Employers Diversity Awards here in Charlottetown on July 8th. So we've been in communications with that organization as well.
Thank you for your report. Is there any questions for Wayne?
I do, Madam Chair. Wayne, this came up at our regular monthly meeting for June. It was an issue Don Allen brought, I don't know if you were at the meeting, regarding this parking ticket forgiveness program. I know Don looked into it last year through the City of Halifax, and I forget the name of the person that's overseeing it, but their website is very clear about what it's for and what it's doing. And could you follow up on that? I know I followed up with an email in a response to Councillors Yankoff and our chair, Julie McCabe, about something. I believe she sent an email to Councillors McCabe and Yankoff about the web link, or the Halifax web link on this. But anyways, it's something we can do as a municipality. It's, we don't have, I always say that we don't have the fiscal firepower that the province and the feds have, but this is something, it's working for Halifax, and it's something we could look at.
We will, Your Worship, for sure. Don did bring it up at the recent parking strategy meeting as well. So we'll gather the information and bring it up.
And could I just follow up, Madam Chair? Wayne, was there something on a Canadian Parking Association annual meeting that we were looking at hosting? Do you recall something about that event?
Staff don't have that information, Your Worship, but we will follow up on it for sure.
Yeah, I have an email, and I'll just forward the hard copy to you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you for your report, Wayne. Charlton Islanders contract, is that under this right here? Or is it further down the line on the agenda?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. The Charlton Islanders contract is currently up. It also aligns with the Eastlink Center contract and then CCCMI's contract with the Islanders. So the CAO and I had a meeting on this particular topic today. There will be a meeting coming up soon at the staff level between the partners, and then we'll bring it back to this committee. It is the committee where this particular item falls within.
Yeah, no, the only reason I'm asking is I got a phone call from CBC Saturday morning wondering what the story was on it, and I just said, as far as I know, it's the board of directors with the Civic Center working that contract and it's brought back to us. Is that correct?
There's three separate contracts, Councillor. So there's a contract between the municipality and the hockey team. There's a contract between CCCMI, so Eastlink Center, and the hockey team, and there's a contract between the municipality and CCCMI, the Eastlink Center. So there's three contracts, and they all align, and they'll all be renewed and explored in tandem, and then they'll be brought back to this committee. It's this committee that needs to endorse the agreement between both parties, and then eventually it would go on to council. So we're just starting that process now that the hockey season has come to an end. I would hope that by our next meeting that we'd be able to bring something to the committee for consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Twill?
Thank you, Wayne, for your report. The parking strategy meeting, can you outline who the participants were that attended that meeting? That's my first question.
Yes, Councillor Twill. Public Works is leading the committee, so Scott Adams is driving that. I believe he has a summer engineering student as well involved with him. Mr. King from the Charlton Police Services. I don't have his name in front of me. Mark King is from Police Services. Don Allen is from downtown DCI, Downtown Charlton Inc., obviously. Aaron Hansen from the Charlton Area Development Corporation. Mr. Norton from Norton's Jewelers. Kim from KC Clothing. What's Kim's last name? McKenzie, sorry. Miss McKenzie from KC Clothing. And then I'm sitting in giving parking rates fall under this particular committee.
Okay. What I would like is, I want a comparative analysis as to what City of Halifax does. What does the City of St. John's do, or City of St. John's, City of St. John, Fredericton, Moncton? Let's do a comparative analysis as to all those cities to see the methodologies that they use, not just zeroing in on what takes place in the City of Halifax. I'm looking for a broad range here. I'd like to get all that information so that this committee can have good discussion and look at a number of different cities and to see what they do to create parking incentives to entice and encourage people to shop in the downtown. I think that's important as opposed to just looking at one methodology or one mechanism or one incentive for that matter. I'm looking for a comparative analysis as to what's taking place in the Maritimes or Atlantic Canada for that matter. So I'd like to get that information. That's my first question or first request. Now my second request is, City of Charlottetown embarked upon increasing, I think it was $50,000 to Charlton Islanders. Was that a one-shot deal, or is that going to be additional request, another request for another $50,000 besides the contract that the Civic Center has with the Islanders hockey team? Like I said, I'm given to understand when we voted for that the first time round that was a one-shot deal. Can you clarify that for me?
before you do, I think from what I would hear is that this is still in negotiations right now around the one-time ask that was approved at our last budget was money that was already in our budget that we transferred over to them on a one-time, and that they were going to then go to discussion, which is what I understand Wayne said is just started, that they'll come back with what their ask or what the look will be. But Wayne, you can clarify that. And the parking strategy thing, I think it's a great idea. If the more brainstorming you can bring to that committee, who I assume it will come from, and Donna, your CEO, it'll come from Public Works, or is it going to come from us? I know we oversee it, but it sounds like Scott's
I
overseeing.
think the parking strategy itself will probably come under Public Works, but the fees will come under this committee, I believe.
Okay.
I have to go back and check those terms of reference.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate that one more time. Okay, now my request is for a comparative analysis for the major cities in the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada to see, to assess what their parking strategies are, the methodologies that they incorporate, and any other methodology that they use to entice people to come and shop in their respective downtowns. I would like that information to come to this committee so we can look at it and we can have a discussion and then go from there. Not looking at just one strategy. I want to look at several strategies so that we can determine which is the best one that we should incorporate and which one we should execute. I think we'd be better informed. So, Wayne, if that's possible, and on the Islander hockey team, the question I have is, was that a one-shot deal, or is that coming back again for an additional $50,000? Wayne?
Thank you for your questions, Councillor Tweel. So I will take your request for the analysis forward to the committee. There's already communication ongoing with multiple municipalities in the region as we speak. I think one of the things you'll see some differentiation in that there's parking commissions in some other communities, and I believe that's one of the items that's being explored as a part of this process. So there's already dialogue with other municipalities, to my understanding. So I'll definitely bring that item forward and bring the information back to this committee. With respect to the Charlton Islanders, there's three things here really. One was last season they had requested an additional $50,000, and because of the pandemic, the committee and council was able to accommodate that within the existing budget. As a part of the current fiscal that we were in, council approved a new $50,000 that would roll us into the next upcoming season. That's already approved by council as a part of the budget process. And then finally, the Islanders had a staggered request over multiple years because it's part of negotiations. I can't go into the details here today, but the Finance Committee had requested that all of this be brought forward as a part of negotiations to make it a more in-depth and valuable discussion. So those discussions will start soon.
Madam Chair, could I just follow up quickly? Councillor Tweel, I did send you the parking ticket forgiveness program email from Don Allen, and that outlined what Halifax is doing. I know what you're asking, or the information you want, because you want to look at other jurisdictions.
Yeah, I think we should be doing a comparative analysis. I think you would welcome that opportunity, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, but I think that with Halifax, they realize that that their revenue per year is about $7 million in parking fees and parking fines. Maybe not parking fines, but they did hire a parking manager as part of the process going forward. I don't think we're looking at that. I think we're just looking at something that we can initiate for the summer months like they have in Halifax. Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the parking meter forgiveness program is only from July 1st to September 1st in Halifax.
It does have a time limit, Your Worship. I don't have it in front of me, but you are right, and you have a certain limit with respect to paying the value of the ticket, investing that to a business in the downtown, and then your ticket is forgiven. So it is a valuable program.
And Madam Chair, I'll forward that summary of Halifax program to the committee members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a follow-up, Councillor Tweel?
Yeah, just, and Wayne, this is no bearing on the work you're doing as, pitch hitting for economic development. But at our last meeting, I asked our CAO for an update as to where we're at with the economic development officer's position. It's been several months now, maybe even longer, since we've had a full-time economic development officer. I did send an email to our CAO, so maybe Donna, can you give us an update as to where we're at with that? Where we're at with the recruitment of a new personnel in that position. Thank you.
We have not started any recruitment on that yet, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. What we're presently doing is reviewing the organization and the structure of the department, and we will come, when we get through with that process, we'll be looking at it, at how we want to move forward.
Okay.
I think at the last meeting, we decided that was operational and they'd come back and report to us once they
Well,
made some decisions.
it might be operational, but I think in light of what's happening here with the MGA over the last couple of years, I think elected officials need to become more involved when it comes to positions here in the city's corporation. It's to my mind, it's not enough to just say, well, it's hand off, you leave it to staff, and like, I'm not saying we should be involved in the selections committee. Maybe we should be. At one time we were, when we hired the chief of police back when I first got elected. Our chair of police did sit on the selection committee, but I think we do need to be somewhat involved in positions, the type of structure and personnel that are going to be recruited here to City Hall. And I think we need to look at their credentials and qualifications. It's not enough just to lay back and then all of a sudden we're in situations, unforeseen situations that we don't want to be in. And I certainly don't want to be in that position. So that's why I'm motivated to ask the question again.
And Donna,
Thank you.
Donna, you can correct me, but I think the MGA is why we're not involved in hiring and deciding how the organizational structure. We're certainly part of policy procedure and become informed, but maybe you could provide more clarification on that.
As I understand it, that is what, you're correct, Madam Chair. That's what the role of the, under the MGA, that's what the role of the council is, and what the role of the senior management.
Not to prolong it, CAO Donna, but I do believe, and I've said this before as well, that there's a subjective interpretation when it comes to the MGA. And furthermore, I do think elected officials have a role to play in terms of making a contribution as to the type of person that we're looking for, the structure. I do think we play an integral role, an indispensable role, even more specifically, when it comes to that. I do think elected officials have to become more involved. I really do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Terrell, and I'm sure if it comes to the point when they're going to be coming back and letting us know how the structure is, we could provide information around some terms of reference around what would be important in our opinion. But we'll wait to see where that gets, and maybe you could provide an update as you get to that point where the structure, what your plan is. Thank you. We're going to move on to Tourism and Culture Report with Laura Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are less than 2 weeks out from our Capital City Canada Day celebrations. Our schedule of events was officially launched this morning. You should have a copy of that in your email. It's also available at charlottetown.ca/Canada Day if you have any residents inquiring about what's happening that day. Some highlights include the return of our Coastal Vibes all-day musical celebration at the Victoria Park Cultural Pavilion. And this year that's going to be headlined by a Tragically Hip tribute band, The Fabulously Rich, and powerhouse singer-songwriter Renee Smith. We also have our Family Fun Zone featuring games and inflatables, giveaways, and partnered activations taking place. And the largest fireworks display east of Ottawa, which will once again be launched from the boardwalk in Victoria Park behind the cannons at 10 p.m. So we're looking forward to a more traditional Canada Day celebration this year. We did also work closely with representatives from Alnaway with respect to how we could best bring attention to Indigenous culture this year in our celebrations. So as a result of those meetings, we are going to be including the color orange in a lot of our advertising and our signage on site and our decor, volunteer and staff clothing, etc. Alnaway will also be on site activating in the Family Fun Zone for part of the day, and we've partnered with Sean Doak, who's an employee with Alnaway, to launch the first installment of a fireside chat style interview series called Understanding Our Past, Reconciling Our Future. So that's going to take place on the main stage during Coastal Vibes in the evening as well. My understanding is that the mayor's office staff are also working on arranging a flag raising ceremony with the Mi'kmaq flag earlier in the day on Canada Day. Work is also underway on our Natal Day weekend celebrations, which will take place July 28th to the 31st. This committee will recall that we did file a funding application with the Federal Reopening Fund, which was through the Department of Canadian Heritage back in January. We still haven't received an official ruling on that application, but when we did follow up recently, we understand that the outcomes are pending in about a week or so. So we have moved forward with planning so that programming can be expanded if we are successful in receiving that funding. And just a friendly reminder that the Steel Timber Sports Canadian Championships and Canadian Champions Trophy events will be happening as part of our Natal Day celebrations this year in Confederation Landing. The city will be welcoming National Judges with Communities in Bloom on July 14th and 15th. We are in the final stages of their itinerary development. We've got a pretty tight packed schedule of events in order to show off the city in all of its summer splendor. City departments and some external partners have been asked to help animate our planned activities. And we will also be working with the city's communications team just to get the word out to residents and notify them of the visit to ensure that they can tidy properties and things in advance of those dates. We have the Hmcs Run for Wishes. We'll be traveling across the island June 30th to July 4th. So that is an annual event. That's a partnership between Make-A-Wish PEI and HMCS Charlottetown. And I know that the mayor will be doing a check presentation to kick off their fundraising here at City Hall on June 29th. Our Visitor Information Center is officially open for the season downstairs. We have a new Senior Visitor Information Coordinator, John Cameron, so he started last week. He's been a great addition to our team and his wealth of knowledge. We have seen that tourism has picked up and there has been some visitors in despite the exterior work that's going on the roof. And our summer students are scheduled to start on Monday, so summer is definitely here and they'll be with us through Labor Day. On the culture file, the city's Arts Advisory Board has officially endorsed the artwork for the 3 murals that are scheduled to be painted during next month's Festival Inspire, which takes place July 18th to 23rd. So all of our major variance requests have been filed for the properties at 151 Great George Street, 64 King Street, and 89 Kent Street. And the approval process is now underway. So building owners within 100 meters of each of those properties have gotten the artwork and a letter notifying them that we have applied to place those murals there. They'll have 2 weeks to respond, and then Planning Board will review the variance requests on July 4th, and if it's endorsed there, then it'll come back before Council at the monthly meeting of Council in July. And staff are currently working with those festival organizers on the logistics and permitting for the supplementary activities and volunteer recruitment. If you've been inside Confederation Center recently, you'll have noticed that renovations are underway in the main foyer. There's also some theater upgrades and technological modernization that's aimed at improving the visitor experience that's taking place. So all of that work was made possible through almost $1 million contribution from the Government of Canada, which was announced late last month by our MP, Sean Casey, and I know that the Deputy Mayor was there for the announcement. And lastly, I know that you're all aware that Digstown, the television production, has been filming in Charlottetown over the last few weeks. So that production came to fruition thanks to the hard work of Film PEI and also the province of PEI. And last year they announced some changes to their film production fund. So there's rebates up to 35% now for work that happens on PEI for eligible expenditures. So it makes it more attractive for productions like that to base themselves out of here. Digstown is the first major production to film in PEI since the fund came into effect last summer. And it's being described as a boon for our local film industry, but it's also currently employing upwards of 60 Islanders. So it's a really good news story. And we'll wait to see what the final economic impact is for that. But I know that Wayne and Doug are both heavily involved in the file, so I'm sure there'll be more information to come.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that show. I see Councillor Twillie, you have a question for Laurel?
Laurel, the Canada Day celebrations back in Victoria Park, I think is welcome news. There's no better place to celebrate the nation's birthday than Victoria Park. It was always held in Victoria Park, and it's always been more family friendly. It's open. There's lots of room. I think it's going to be a great event. I know that there'll be a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. So I think that's fantastic news. So
We'll be sure to get you a volunteer T-shirt.
you know what? I'm there. I mean, I before I ran for city council, I chaired the Canada Day celebration, so I know how important it is. And it's fantastic. It's a great event, and I can tell you that all demographics are going to be very, very excited to have that event back in Victoria Park where it should be. I think, I wish you would have been with us the other night, or maybe you were, when we made the decision to spend $500,000 on the parking garage. You talked about the artisans and some of the murals. I did suggest at the time that maybe we should reach out to the artisan community to see if, in fact, there was something they could do with the parking garage, and maybe use that as a platform. I'm not trying to be critical of the decision that was made by City Council. I just wish we could have explored that opportunity, because you just outlined 3 good examples of some artwork that's going to be clearly illustrated in our downtown, and I don't know. I don't know. I just wish we would have explored that opportunity. I really sincerely do. Anyway, who knows? Maybe we can look at it. I don't know, but I mean, all due respect, Laurel just outlined 3 great examples. I don't know why we couldn't have done the same with the parking garage. Thank you, Laurel.
Madam Chair, if I can just follow up there. Yes, I remember Councillor Tweel did head up the Canada Day celebrations some years ago there, and we had to wait for the fireworks because they were waiting for the centre to end the show, Anne of Green Gables. And it did go, but yeah, I remember it very clearly. But it was a good show, and I know we're going to definitely put on a good show this year. Natal Day, am I a little too early to ask what we're doing for that weekend, or are you going to report that next weekend or next meeting?
I can share it privately with you, but we haven't announced the programming yet, so we won't discuss it in open session.
So
but we can have a conversation after this if you
It's
like.
a work in progress.
Yeah.
Okay. And as for the art and our Art Advisory Council, I'm sure that if we do have pieces of art that we want to install in or around any parking garage, Kent Street, Fitzroy Street, Queen Street, Pownell Street, that option is definitely available there. And I know Councillor Yankov continues to remind us that in our arts advisory policy, 1% of funding is to go to an arts and cultural budget from any project that we do as a city. So we have a couple of projects lined up where that pool of money can be put aside or used used later in the future. Thank you.
And I think if we continue to work where we're trying not to work in such silos, because there is a process that we had to follow around heritage and different things, but we know that this is something that's important, because I fully agree with you, Councillor Tweel, that it would make much more sense to have a beautiful mural on a parkade on one of our busy streets. But we have to change our policies and our bylaws, which I'm open to if we have an opportunity through this committee. I don't know if it's our committee or if it's planning committee or what committee, but if we could look at how we could change some of those to make sense to support what Councillor Tweel's saying, I think that would be smart.
Just to follow up, so Laurel, maybe you can help me here. Is it too late for the artisan community to look at the parking garage and to see what the possibilities may or may not be? Is it? I mean, you would know.
I wasn't involved in the artwork discussion around the parkade. My understanding is that there's some complications right now, and maybe the mayor can confirm around what went to design review, and that we don't have a lot of opportunity to stray from what was approved without starting the process again. With respect as to the festival in July that these 3 murals are being created during, we are past the point where we could engage those artists to participate, because we do have to go through a planning process, which we've passed the deadlines. It's not to say that it couldn't be a future discussion, but it would be a question of going back to design review and whether that is the direction that we would want to go.
Laurel, just to follow up on that, yes, there are design review standards. They were not set up by me or when I was on council. These occurred after 2006, the design review, and going outside to get an architect. So if you look at the design review they did for UPEI student residents, that wasn't based on artwork going up in the building. It was how the building would look if you were driving north or south on University Avenue. So the design review is not just about art in itself. It's about what the building will look like, or in this situation, or in this case, it's the look of a parking garage and how it faces onto Kent Street, where I believe Discover Charlottetown, the city of Charlottetown are working hard to recreate that one block between, is it Great George Street and Prince on Kent. So it's more than just art, it's also about the design itself. And those design standards are based on the materials that you use. And correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, that it's not just adding art, it's the materials, whether it's plastic or it's wood or it's steel, to give an artistic feel to a piece of facade that doesn't look very appealing when you're trying to upgrade or uplift or enhance your downtown. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, just on that, Mr. Mayor, would you be open to having the artisan community at least entertain the idea and looking at the parking garage? Would you be open to that?
Councillor Tweel, I think all of council would be open to it. I really do.
Good. Thank you, Laurel.
But I think
Thank
the
you.
design,
No, thank you. Thank you.
But I think the design that we're going after or going with will be structural in terms of the materials they'll use. Any additional artwork or any additional artistic input, more than welcome in any facility. I think we have something on the agenda, Madam Chair, for later on about artistic input.
I think just to clarify, so Councillor Tweel, and just to make sure I'm understanding, the $500,000 that was approved the other night by council will still have to proceed based on the structure of the building, etc. Not to say that you can't add art, is what I'm understanding you're saying, but I needed, it will still be $500,000 based on the materials that were approved to add the art. I knew you were thinking different when you said that.
I'm most definitely thinking different. Yeah, I'd like to get the artisan community involved from the get-go, from the outset.
Thank you. All right, Wayne Long, we're going to move into event management report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Your Worship, just before I get in, on the Natal Day weekend, although further programming is to come, the Steel Timber Sports events are incorporated into Natal Day weekend and will be in the park. TSN is here to do the television rights of that event as well, so it's going to be a substantial footprint. And if we were fortunate to get the other federal money Laurel referred to create another event on top of it, it would be quite a spectacular event here in the capital city. Just a few quick highlights under event management. Our prospecting and attraction file is very strong. We currently are working on securing, we were working on 4 international events, but we just announced one. You saw the international soccer match between Sunderland and Montreal U23 FC. We're currently working on 3 other potential international events that could happen this year before year's end. A lot of discussions and meetings underway with respect to that. And we'll continue to hopefully advance those files. I've already mentioned the FCM Expo. work continues on partners with other domestic missions as well as bids to market. So there's lots happening in the event tourism space. A quick shout out to Charlotte Nicholson in our department, who was recently elected to the board of directors for Event Atlantic. I sent a note out to the committee on that, so congratulations to Charlotte. Work is continuing on our sport tourism strategy. We mentioned this briefly at last month's meeting. Stakeholder sessions just finished last week, and work continues on trying to align this strategy with other strategies, whether it's tourism, PEI, or the city's upcoming strategies, etc. Canada Games file continues to be very busy and will be right up until the games. But this week there was an announcement on the torch relay. I know the mayor participated. Laura was there as well. Charlottetown is a torch relay community. Call for nominations are out now to be a torch bearer. There's a whole process. We encourage all residents in Charlottetown to put your name forward to try to get selected to be a part of the torch relay. We're also working closely with Canada Games on a 150-day out event, which would happen this coming fall. Hard to believe we're getting that close to the games, but time is moving by. This past weekend, we hosted two more test events, two great events. I shouldn't say this past week, in the past 2 weekends. In fact, the National Wheelchair Basketball Championship, as well as a regional fencing event at Eastlink Center. And of course, lots of work continues on the festival. A couple of other quick notes to highlight. It is very, very busy for our department now with so many summer events happening in terms of logistics meetings and coordinating with other departments. In fact, it's taking up over half of our time right now. A lot of logistics with respect to that. Our hosting schedule is very, very busy. I'm not going to go through all of the events. I circulated a copy of that some time ago to the committee, but it's very busy. You'll see and feel the energy throughout the city over the next few weeks. And then we're just coming off of hosting the Event Atlantic Board and Government Partners Summit here in Charlottetown. Stephanie touched on that in her presentation. Was a great success. So lots going on in the event management area, and tourism is alive in Charlottetown.
Sure is. Thank you, Wayne. Is there any questions for Wayne on that report?
Yeah, I do.
Councillor Twill.
Thank you for your report, Wayne. As you pointed out, there's lots happening. You made reference to the Canada Games. Wonder, I don't know if it's under this heading, could you give us a thumbnail sketch with respect to the venues that the city of Charlottetown are involved and the funding that are going to go into the different venues? Maybe an update. I understand there's meetings taking place as to monies that we're receiving to either introduce new venues or to revitalize current venues. Could you please give us a report on that?
Sure, Councillor. Lots of good things happening in Charlottetown. So the first one is obviously a highlight, not owned by the city, but there's a magnificent new $60 million venue being built at the university as we speak. It will be the Athletes Village for the full duration of the event. In addition to accommodations there is a 400-seat theater. There's also meeting space, classroom space, etc. So it's quite a venue. And not only will it serve the university well, it'll serve tourism and event tourism well in the off season, being able to access that the venue. Some significant infrastructure enhancements happening at both the Eastlink Center Arena and Trade Center. So quick highlight would be in the arena side would have new boards and glass, a new lighting system, an overhauled media box. There is enhancements to washrooms and VIP lounge, a new entrance being built, a couple of new private boxes being built as a part of that process. A new 360 digital scoreboard, video scoreboard, along with some other video assets. In the Trade Center side, there's some new washrooms and change rooms that are currently being built. Large video screen going into there, some lighting enhancements on the upper deck. On the Trade Center side, there's a whole new multi-purpose space, which now has windows facing outward onto Red Shores racetrack. So there's a lot of projects, many more beyond that. These are some of the signature ones. A lot happening as well over at the Bell Alliance Center with respect to infrastructure, whether it be sound enhancements, dressing room enhancements, new box offices being built over there, some inner systems within the corporation. So lots happening. Also, there will be a temporary refrigeration plant operating in front of Founders Hall through the Parks and Recreation Department to ensure that we have ice. It's not just natural ice. There will be some enhancement there as well. And that particular system does not have to remain there after the fact. It can go to other areas of the city if the city chooses to do so. So there are some quick sketches with respect to what's happening in here. They'll only further enhance our facilities, not only from hosting the games, but from community recreation and event hosting as well.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne, I understand that the walking track at the university is going to be revitalized. Is that correct? And if so, with taxpayers' money going into that facility, will this now open the doors for the community so that the community will have better access to the facility? I'm sure that's that'd be a pretty big expenditure when you're replacing that walking track. That's no small expenditure by any stretch of the imagination. And if so, is there an agreement, or do we think about saying to the university, with this type of expenditure, and I don't know how old the facility is today. I mean, it was built, 1991. So will the community now have better, more access to the facility? Thank you.
You are correct, Councillor Tweel. The university, the sports center is getting some enhancements. I don't have all of the specifics because the city is not involved in those particular projects. I know that the floor was just overhauled, the main gym floor, in time for the wheelchair basketball nationals. But you are correct. I did hear that the track is being overhauled in terms of its surface. That agreement is directly between Canada Games and the university itself. The city is not involved in any of those dialogues, or there's no city investment within that project. One would hope that there is good access to the general public in terms of accessing the track. I do know that today you can buy a membership to use the track, but I don't have the specifics around how that operates. It may be more better question for our Parks and Recreation Department, but hopefully the enhancement will serve the community well in addition to the university community.
Can I make a request, Wayne, that I don't know, are you on the Board of Governors for the Canada Games?
The mayor, his worship is.
The mayor is? Are you on there too? No? Okay, Mr. Mayor, since you're on there, I would encourage you, sir, that, it is taxpayers' money. It was back to 91. The community, there was an expectation that there'd be more usage from members of our community. So could you bring that to the forefront and bring those questions in? You can say, I'm asking the questions.
I appreciate that, Councillor Tweel, but you have to remember, when we build the new Simmons Aqua Arena facility, there will be an indoor walking track for all Charlottonians, no cost, free. And Councillor Tweel, if you look at the Eastlink Centre, here's where a legacy project worked. It was built for the 1991 Winter Games. Here we are 32 years later, using the same facility, and looks just like new. So it's good, very good commentary about the staff and the people that work at the Civic Center to keep that facility up to what it is now, like the standards. And as you said, Wayne, the center clock will be replaced by a digital screen, correct? So you can see replays, plus also referring to the corners too. Is that correct? That is correct.
That is correct, yeah. So there'll be a new digital 360 scoreboard, and then there'll be enhancements to the screens within the corners and some other areas in the lobbies of the venue as well, and in the trade center side as well. I perhaps forgot to mention, but the Eastlink Center will be very much active during the Canada Games with the opening and closing ceremonies, as well as a number of sports happening in there as well.
Yeah.
So Eastlink Center will be one of the busiest venues across the island in terms of the games. While the games are provincial in scope, Charlottetown is the hub of the games.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, it's the same, the same goes for the Young Canada Sports Centre, the Fieldhouse UPEI. That was also built for the Canada Games 1991. So great legacy projects that live to tell the tale. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I
Thank
will
you.
pass that on, Councillor Twill.
Pardon me?
I will pass that on.
Well, I'd hope that you would. And yes, you know, the walking track that's going to be constructed at Simmons, I will suggest to you that with 40,000 people living here in the city of Charlottetown, when that facility opens, it's going to be crowded. I'll make a prediction now that facility is going to be crowded. So I still think we need better access to the facility. Taxpayers' money are going into that facility. Mr. Mayor, I hope that you'll go to bat for the citizens of this community and come back with some concrete enhancements and improvements.
I always go to bat for.
Look for a good working
That's
agreement.
open to debate, sir.
All right, thank you. Good job. Go get it done. We're going to move on to Wayne for Invest in Canada.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular report is simply information sharing. There's no action requirement. I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity to read the report, focusing on the first quarter, Q1 of 2022. With respect to Invest in Canada, some good news coming out of this. Just, again, information sharing.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for sharing that. Laura Lee, the Toronto Star Travel article.
Like Wayne, this is just information sharing. So our partners at Tourism PEI and Discover Charlottetown recently held a press trip with a freelance writer, Lola Augustine Brown. So her article made it to the Toronto Star. It's entitled Welcome to Pretty Hip Charlottetown, where to eat, drink, and explore in PEI's livelier than ever seaside capital. So she's seeing what we're seeing. There's lots going on. There's always something to do. We're hip and we're pretty. So I've included the article, and you can take some time to read it if you have not already seen it.
Thank you. I saw that on the news article or somewhere anyway. It was pretty exciting. I'm not hip, nor am I pretty, but I was excited to read the article about Charlottetown and being the place to come and visit. Well, thank you for disagreeing. Okay, meetings and conventions, PEI familiarization. Wayne Long.
Once again, Madam Chair, again, information sharing, no action required. Our partners at Meetings and Conventions PEI recently hosted a FAM tour, Familiarization tour for 19 meeting and incentive travel planners. Some good work is being done on relaunching and capitalizing on the lucrative meeting and convention market. As we all know, a good number of business meetings that come to Prince Edward Island are right here in the capital city, given the capacity and infrastructure that we have and a beautiful convention center on the waterfront. Just wanted to share this good news story.
Excellent, thank you. And that kind of wraps up our open session. I do need
Just one
sorry,
question.
go ahead, Councillor Trio.
Wade, I apologize if I should know the answer, but can you give us a status report on Art in the Open?
Our staff certainly can, Councillor Tweel. I'm going to defer to Laurel as she manages the cultural file and she's involved with that particular item.
Do you have any specific questions on Art in the Open?
Just, you know, how's the event coming along, in terms of planning? What can we expect this year? Like you say, different than previous years. Just a short synopsis.
So planning is going well. The board has been working since shortly after the last festival to pull together plans for this year. They've actually engaged a full-time staff person this year, so she has been in place for about a month getting things together. I believe they're just going through the final stages of curation because they do like a public call for a lot of the curated pieces that come into play. So I don't believe that they have nailed down every single installation that we'll see. So I'm not able to comment on what may be different than previous years, but generally speaking, we have our consistent events like the March of the Crows, and the fire pits in the Field of Flames in Victoria Park. My understanding is that they are continuing to look at using the trails in Victoria Park as well as some of the squares in the downtown and centered around Confederation Center as well for the main sites. I do know that they had applied for some funding through a recent program through TIPI that they were administering on behalf of ACOA, so those results are just being known right now. Typically, they come to the city for their logistics meeting in late July or early August, and that's when they have all of the projects in place. So until that point in time, we don't have a completely clear idea of what they're looking at, but in terms of scale, we can expect to see similar things as previous years, and it's the last Saturday of August.
Thank you, Laurel. And while I have the opportunity, is there more of an update on what's taking place with Kent Street in terms of Discover Charlottetown and some of the initiatives that they're working on? You know, more specifically with the fire department, police department, and do we have an update in that regard?
Yes, so there was actually a meeting held between Discover Charlottetown, Public Works, and the fire department last week, which I understand went well. I wasn't able to attend because of a conflict with my schedule, but the fire department has been working closely with Discover Charlottetown on revising what their plan actually looks like in terms of the overhead infrastructure. So they've pared it back a bit to a point that Discover Charlottetown is happy and the fire department is happy. So my understanding is that they're just working through the crossing the I's and dotting the T's, and that they intend to come back to Public Works in the immediate future with the final plan, and that they're hoping to have the first phase of the infrastructure in place before their Fall Flavors events in late September that take place on that street in that area. So there's some landscaping that will be done. There's a conversation being had about lighting. There's some infrastructure that will go in, and not all of it will be in place for this fall. It'll be a bit of a phased approach, but my understanding from both department heads here and from Discover Charlottetown is that the conversations have moved in a positive direction, and that the project will be moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Twill. Thank you, Laurel. So could I have a motion to move into closed session as per section 119, subsection 1E of the PEI Municipal Government Act for a matter still under discussion, under consideration? Okay, second.
Wait, just your,
It's open now. Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, it's open.